Aren't Marvel movies great? They can make you weep like a popped zit while making you laugh like an overexcited Mysterio. We absolutely adore our superheroes here at CBR, but we like it even better when they act like savages. Every single character has it in them to flip the bird at the rest of the world, and we don't even mind. We'll take that bird and keep it as a beloved pet. Some have more bite than a teething 2-year-old, while others use sheer strength to get the job done. From action sequences to snide comments and more, sit back and enjoy the ride as we take you through some of the MCU's most brutal moments. When Thor tried to chop off Thanos' arm in Infinity War, it left fans across the globe screaming, "Why didn't you go for the head?" Clearly writers thought they'd take note, so Thor dealt the final blow to the Mad Titan in Endgame. What made it so savage? It probably had something to do with the fact that Thanos looked like an old man, eating his fruit and minding his own beeswax. Can't an evil destructor get some peace around here, huh? Jeez. The God of Thunder wasn't about to miss this time and lopped off Thanos' head mid-sentence, like he was Marie Antoinette. That was the cherry on top of the Vengeance Sunday, no mistake about it. There was no way Thanos was getting out of that one after slaying both Thor's brother and his BFF. If the superhero thing doesn't work out, he could make a great name for himself in baseball. Loki. For a dude that weighs about as much as a feather on a diet, he manages to do some awesome things. During the Battle of New York, he caught one of Hawkeye's arrows just as it was about to splatter his brains across Fifth Avenue. Sadly for him, it exploded his hand and threw him straight into Stark Tower and into the love and green arms of the Hulk. We've got to hand it to Loki, he tried to demean the giant green brute into submission like he was a naughty kindergartner. In one of the most beautiful displays of Hulk savagery we've seen to date, Loki is pounded into the ground like gum on a sidewalk. The best part? Hulk's ultimate diss when he walks away and he calls Loki a puny god. Loki, we love ya, but this will never not be incredible to watch. It's cinematic perfection at its finest. Ant-Man is like the little brother of the MCU that keeps bugging the older kids to let him play. It's the best part about Scott Lang. He's the butt of a lot of jokes, regardless if he's supersized or minute. During Endgame, Scott finally gets back to the remaining Avengers and introduces them to the concept of time travel. Sure, without him, the idea of getting back all the lost comrades wouldn't have come to fruition. That doesn't mean he gets a lot of respect, though. In a quiet moment, Scott's trying to eat his tacos in peace when Rocket and Nebula land, blowing his lunch out of his hand. As if taking a man's food isn't bad enough, Nebula stalks by and says into her comms, "Rhodey, be careful on re-entry. There's an idiot in the landing zone." Ouch, who peed on her Cheerios? Oh yeah, she's probably still annoyed over the whole sacrifice sister thing. Here's another one from our favorite god of mischief, who shoots a straight 100 when it comes to savagery. Honestly, if you can't expect some brilliantly devious things from Loki, then who can you expect them from? Some of the best moments in the franchise are between Thor and his brother. In Ragnarok, Valkyrie and Bruce Banner are deciding what to do with Loki when Thor recounts a story from their childhood. When the two little tykes were running around being teeny tiny gods, Loki transformed himself into a snake. Why? Because he knew his big bro loved snakes, of course. Rather than making himself a loving pet, Thor says Loki transformed back and promptly knifed him. Brotherly love. Isn't that just beautiful? Rumor has it that the story was improvised by Hemsworth off the cuff, which is why Tom Hiddleston was smirking. He was genuinely struggling to keep a straight face. Poor Scarlet Witch has had a bum deal of things. She lost her brother, then her boyfriend, all within the space of a few years. The least she could get is some dang recognition after fighting the good fight, but nope. Thanos only bestows respect on those he deems worthy. And clearly, he didn't take much notice of Wanda. He must have skipped those headlines and gone straight to the comic section. When things are really going down in Endgame and the end of the world looks nigh again, Scarlet Witch and Thanos go head-to-head. Brimming with rage and more than a little bit irritated that Thanos destroyed Vision, Wanda is hot to trot. Yeah, that's not a severe case of pink eye, that's the glare of the mighty. When she tells the Titan that
you took everything from me,
he offhandedly says,
"I don't even know who you are."
What a burn! Bucky is an interesting character from start to finish. His re-entry into the MCU wasn't exactly smooth like butter, but sticky and uncomfortable like a resistant boogie. Everyone got caught up in the fallout too. In Captain America Civil War, everything is going to hell in a handbasket. The Accords have ripped the team apart, causing a lot of tension between Iron Man and Cap. Things go from bad to worse when Iron Man is shown footage of Bucky offing his parents back in the early 90s. We've seen stumbled across awkward home movies, but none like this. Needless to say, Tony is less than pleased with the entire situation, especially when he finds out that Steve knew the entire time. Man, what a thing to keep from one of your workmates, huh? And we thought not being invited to the Christmas party was a burn? At least everyone got out alive. Turns out Cap really is America's ass after all. Ho ho! There's no way we could make this video without including the snap. It's a brutal moment that was years in the making, so of course it's gonna be here. Thanos spent his entire life building a reputation for being someone you don't want to cross. Entire planets don't fall to their knees because you popped around for a cup of sugar, you dig? When the snap finally happened, it was completely debilitating. Not only was Thanos super smug about it, but having to watch everyone turn to dust was brutal. Plus, let's not forget the look on Thor's face when he realized he'd totally messed up and missed the mark. At that point, Marvel Studios really took the loyal hearts of every fan out there and beat them to a pulp. Let's not forget Spider-Man turning to dust while begging Mr. Stark to save him. We haven't cried so much since McDonald's stopped supersize. You had to bring that up. What could be worse than the snap that destroys half of all life in the universe? How about one that destroys the only thing that is putting the universe in danger? Yeah, okay, we all knew that there were going to be some huge losses in Endgame, even if we regained some characters. But how on God's green earth 416 could we know that Tony Stark could be one of the ones to go? We would have gladly sacrificed an aging ant or two, but Tony? The world is a cruel and canny mistress, that's for sure. Tony's snap racks up some serious points on the Savage-O-meter for two reasons. There's the obvious heartbreak and emotional scarring we'll never get over, but also Tony's delivery. Oh, and if you're inevitable Thanos, cool, good talk. Tony Stark is Iron Man. Put that in your giant pipe and smoke it, buddy. How do you like them apples? Say what you want about Steve Rogers and his endless frowning, but you can't deny he kicks some serious butt. Well, he's an old man now that probably can't chew his food without his denture still in, but you know what we're getting at. Cap has been at the center of many a throwdown, but none more stylish and well executed than the elevator scene in Winter Soldier, when Hydra agents posing as S.H.I.E.L.D. friends surround Cap. He soon becomes privy to their plans. He offers them a chance to get out before he gets started, but none of them take him up on it. Fools. This is Captain America, for goodness sake. He's not about to back into a corner and let you take his lunch money, that's for sure. Don't these idiots get briefed, or do they really think that they stand a chance? Cap kicks so much Hydra butt he probably gave himself an ingrown toenail. Totally worth it. When Killmonger rocked up to challenge T'Challa for the title of Black Panther, there was a lot of abs on abs action. These guys weren't fighting for the last McNugget, no, but for the keys to an entire empire. Honestly, it showed. Killmonger clearly knew how to flex and was there to bring the pain. It must have been a tiny bit humiliating for T'Challa to be brought to his knees in front of the entire nation. But hey, what's a king to do? It comes with the crown. The most heartbreaking part? When Zuri steps in to save the life of T'Challa, taking a blade to the chest like a champ. Sure, his nephew lived, but see that floating downstream? That's his pride. Top moment, when Killmonger shouts, "Is this your king?" Tears were shed. Egos were flattened. That's the way the cookie crumbles in the MCU, kids. But at least everything turned out okay in the end. Okay, if we're being honest, Quicksilver is an easily forgettable character in the MCU. However, he did have a moment of glory that can't be denied, no matter how brief. During Age of Ultron, he shoves Hawkeye and a young child out of harm's way, only to be destroyed himself. By the end of it, the dude looks like Swiss cheese. It was a brief emotional moment for a character that audiences didn't have time to invest in emotionally, but just look at how Scarlet Witch reacted. She was so devastated that it practically broke her. This was the key to setting her up as an Avenger. His days in the MCU may have been limited to a supersonic flash, but at least Quicksilver got some more play in the X-Men franchise. Just goes to show that life can go by in a blink of an eye if you're not too careful. Agent Coulson was the epitome of a stan. He loved Captain America so much that he turned into a bumbling idiot. He embodies every Marvel fan there ever was, is, or will be. That's why when Loki skewered him like a shish kebab, it sucked. Just when we thought that Thor's little brother couldn't get more irritating, he proved us all wrong. Of course, we've all changed our opinion now and couldn't be more pro-Loki if we made placards. In Avengers, though, the conniving puny god had few redeeming qualities. Agent Coulson always seemed like the nice uncle you saw at Christmas, so Loki carving him like a turkey went down like a lead balloon. All he wanted to do was collect his cards and keep up the good fight, dang it. Coulson deserved better. Thankfully, he later returned in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it wasn't exactly an easy ride for the Cap-loving do-gooder. Meeting the parents, we've all been there. It's an anxiety-filled moment full of pleasantries and thinly veiled threats. As if dating as a teenager isn't complicated enough, imagine finding out your girl's father is the villain you've been fighting. Peter Parker gets the shock of his life as he discovers that the Vulture is Liz's dad. He's only spent his entire high school life pining after her, so can't he see past that one tiny detail? In-laws are always a living nightmare no matter what they do. At least Vulture was making bank from it. The look on Peter's face is priceless, but it's Vulture that takes the cake while driving the pair to homecoming. Liz lets the cat out of the bag, tipping her dad off to Peter's true identity in a cringe-worthy moment. Telling your date to shut up probably isn't the best thing, but in this case, it would have been totally apt. He's the man who can, the billionaire genius playboy, the savior of the universe. He is Iron Man. He's also the best at delivering a verbal butt-whooping when he's needed. Peter and Tony's relationship was more father-son than friend-to-friend, which is what made it work so well. After Peter disobeys direct orders, Tony doesn't ground him, but he does confiscate his new toy. Stark goes in swinging, telling Peter that he should have listened when people told him he was crazy for believing in him. It's like the whole "I'm disappointed in you" speech we've all been subjected to, but times 3,000. See what we did there? After laying down the law and asserting his authority, Tony swiftly takes away Spidey's multi-million-dollar suit. Honestly, the only thing worse than getting an earful from your own parent is watching it happen to someone else. R.I.P. Tony Stark, snap-doer and Spidey wrangler extraordinaire. Now, we don't want to pander to stereotypes here, but little sisters usually specialize in being annoying. What they don't tend to do is spend their free time in labs, working out how to use the latest tech. T'Challa hit the jackpot by having Shuri as his sibling. While the rest of us spent our childhoods fighting over who got the TV remote, those two were making waves. In one of the funniest scenes in Black Panther, Shuri gives her brother a tour of the lab. He gets to see the latest gadget she's been working on, and Shuri gets to ridicule T'Challa's sense of style. When he asks her what something is, she screams at his sandals in horror. It's a testament to their bond that T'Challa laughs it off and doesn't stomp into his room and slam the door before running to his mom. Oh, only kids do that? Not in my house. Pre-super soldier serum Steve Rogers had trouble holding his head upright on that teeny tiny body of his. Afterwards, the guy turned into a block of concrete muscle, making moves that us mere mortals can only dream about. When Bucky tries to get away on a helicopter, Cap grabs one end and holds it. Does he feel the burn? Probably. But even attempting that would tear a human in half like a piece of Play-Doh. For Cap, it's just another workout to add to his already impressive muscle mass. He manages to ground the chopper as it crashes into the launch pad, proving that you really can't get one up on Captain America. If he doesn't want you to go anywhere, you might as well check in and sit back, because you're in it for the long haul. There's a reason why that serum was so sought after, and it wasn't because of its moisturizing qualities. You've got to hand it to Hydra. When they want someone gone, they throw everything at them. There's Nick Fury, rolling along the streets minding his own beeswax when he's given a royal pounding. There are guns, cars, this huge window rammer thing. Clearly, these guys know what they're doing, but they didn't bet on one thing. This is Nick Fury, not some chump with a 9-to-5 desk job. He gave as good as he got in arguably one of the best action sequences in MCU history. Fury made it out alive to go give his old pal Cap a knock before faking his own demise and surprising us all. Nick Fury is no Wicked Witch of the West. You could drop a house on this guy and he'd still keep rolling with the punches. It's all about skill and attitude, and Fury has both in spades. You're not in Kansas anymore. Ant-Man lands another place on this list for something he's done rather than something that's been done to him. Yeah, it's a shocker to us too. It's not often that Scott Lang does anything that can be remotely deemed savage, but he rocked the Casbah in Civil War. When he turned into Giant Man, he grabbed a war machine between his fingers like he was a tick on a dog. He stomped on buses, broke wings off planes, and brought the pain, even making Iron Man think twice about his strategy. It's not often that Scott gets to do anything even remotely cool, so you better believe he milked it. Unfortunately for Scott, he's brought down by Spider-Man like he's making a cameo in Gulliver's Travels. Bonus savage moment, when Hawkeye confronts Black Panther and says,
We haven't met yet. I'm glad.
T'Challa's response?
I don't care.
Ouch, someone's been taking some etiquette lessons from Thanos. Thor's come a long way since we were first introduced to him, but at his core he still has the manners of a Viking. In his first standalone movie, he sits down with Jane Foster and her friends in a diner, tasting this sweet, sweet nectar that is caffeine for the first time. Clearly itching for another hit, he takes his coffee cup and smashes it to the ground before demanding more. All three of his companions jump 10 feet in the air like they're competing at the Olympics. This is another moment of pure genius straight from the mind of Chris Hemsworth, who threw it in on a whim. He's really helped audiences understand this guy is not of this world. It's also simultaneously proved that coffee is a universal language that spans countries and galaxies like nothing else can. If Asgard hadn't been destroyed, Starbucks would have built a store there in a hot minute. Our final entry is a real doozy, so grab the Kleenex and prepare to blub like a baby. Gamora's fate in Infinity War was a huge downer because she truly believed that Thanos didn't love her. When they were told that the only way to get the Soul Stone was to sacrifice the thing that meant the most, Gamora laughed. Ha ha ha! She truly thought she was safe and dear old dad was screwed. Sadly for her, Thanos actually did give a rat's behind and threw her off the cliff into oblivion without a second thought. This moment really showed how Thanos was willing to do anything to restore the balance. When it comes to family ties, he cuts them off like rotting limbs. If it's not an Infinity Stone, he's making room for you to sit on his right hand. And there Gamora went, tumbling down the hill like Jack and Jill, only breaking way more than a crown. That moment between Ant-Man and Nebula is possibly one of the best things we've ever seen. Do you have a favorite entry, or is there something you'd add? Sound off in the comments. Before you fly off to save the world, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.